Welcome to the Blazing Pucks podcast.
Oh, shit.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, Victor Manuel.
And I am your other host, Carmichael Manfredi. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to episode 64 of the Blazing Pucks podcast, brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network, the Canucks podcast you listen to when your kids are not around.
Oh, shit. Absolutely. Because we got to drop our F-bombs. We got to say our fucking degenerate takes. And we got to have a few laughs within this.
Oh, definitely. That's part of the game.
Season, bro.
Absolutely, brother. How you doing, man?
Oh, dude. Vibing and grinding, man. On my shit, but doing good. How are you?
Oh, same with me over here, man. Just a couple of tradesmen talking shit about our Canucks. Well, not talking shit.
No, dude. I mean, we're definitely on the more mentally sound side of the fan base.
I wouldn't go that far, but when it comes to the Canucks,
we gotta be true to the Canucks.
Yeah, we'll save for that, no problem. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't go that far. Oh man,
too funny.
We got a couple of we got some interesting games to recap here today, though, don't we?
Yeah, dude. I am. It's crazy how the roller coaster is going right now to this point, but we're getting some good hockey right now. Carm, what are we going to talk about today? Like, what's some things that we're going to touch on?
Well, I mean, we're definitely gonna talk about the Penguins game. Some of the things that I want to get into, as well as that is, maybe what we think the Canucks need in order to hit that next level, because we're seeing their floor. So they're picking up points at their floor, but yeah. And then interesting debate topic. I want to hear who comes out of the lineup when Joshua comes back, and what do the lines look like?
Oof. That's definitely going to be a difficult one to talk about or figure out, but only Talk It knows. But yes, I love that debate topic. Then we definitely got to get a little bit into, unfortunately, the results of yesterday's game, Carolina losing an OT. Got to recap a little bit about that too, man, because there's a lot to like, and then definitely there's a lot that we know still needs some improvement. But dude, so many good things to talk about. First thing, let's get into what the title is even about.
Yes, you read my mind.
The local story boy, man, from Surrey, BC, represent Archdeep Bains, man. He bangs home his first NHL goal. Dude, how are you?
Love to see it. Story. You love to see it, right? He's a hard kid to not root for. Or I say kid, he's really not a kid, but he's a hard guy not to root for because he was undrafted in junior, undrafted into the show, worked his way up. Canucks signed him. He still had to earn his spot on Abbotsford, tore it up there, earned a spot in the lineup to the point where, he really caught the attention of Talkit. Like, they're playing fucking cap gymnastics right now, sending them down, bringing them up, sending them down. Like, they're figuring out a way to keep him in the lineup. And, you just love to see it.
I gotta say, I'm excited for the meme potential this fan base will have with the Brandstrom Bains back and forth. Like, how much are we recruiting today, right? Like, dude, it's funny. I know it's all paper trail, but yeah, dude, what an incredible story with Archdeep Bains. You've already listed the main things about him, but when I see him play on the ice, man, that dude, whether he's making, whatever his decisions he's making, he's crashing hard. He's skating with speed. He's getting engaged in the battles. He's not afraid to get into the battles either, which is what I like. And yeah, dude, like, this guy is truly being an underdog story for the city, for the province as a whole. Honestly, if you really think about it, man.
And I mean, to score his goal, and it's really too bad that Daniel Sprong was offside last night, because it would have been really cool to see him pot one in on Diwali.
100%, dude. Yeah, that was honestly so shattering to see, and I definitely think that shifted Canucks momentum. But we'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, back to the Pittsburgh game, bro. Like, oof, tough. What is it with Canucks in tough first period starts? Let me ask you.
You know what? And it's funny too, because last year that was their strength,
right?
Right. Like that was one of the notes that I kind of made, and maybe we'll touch into that a little bit. But they got to get back into controlling the games, right? Like clearly in the first, I would even say the first two periods, right? They gave up 2 goals, and then all of a sudden they woke up. Petey got the boys going, which is exactly what they needed. And we're obviously just talking about that one game. Garland made a great pass, and regardless, I mean, that game you really saw how Garland can really help Petey.
Yeah, dude, Garland is literally becoming one of the unsung greatest additions to this freaking roster right
Oh,
now.
without a doubt, right? I mean, it's kind of shitty that we don't have Dylan Gunther, obviously, but Connor Garland, I mean, look, he's in the top 6, and he was the one guy that was able to get our star player, our highest paid player in team history, to finally get a goal.
Yeah, dude, it's insane, man. What I'm really excited to just see is that even then, he brings energy to the lineup, and he definitely brought the energy when it comes to become. You know what I'm starting to think about this team? I think this team really thrives with adversity that kind of makes it urgent for them. I don't know about you. I think, like you said, they controlled the play a lot last year compared to how they're starting off this year so far. Because again, still early in the season, they can work it out, But I'm just starting to think now that maybe the team got a little bit too comfortable in realizing that, hey, when we're the underdog kind of spirit, that's when we know how to fight back and like push for favor. And I think them having those soft starts and once they get scored on, it kind of wakes them up to be into that. Is that something that you see as well?
Oh, definitely. I mean, it may not even happen right away, right? Like being down and being the underdog is easy because you can do whatever the hell you want and nobody expects shit from you. Right. But having that shift, that's what Talk talked about in the beginning of the season, is you need to, it's going to be harder this year. Like, embrace the heart, the whole thing that they got going on in the dressing room. Right. But he had a point to that, because essentially teams are not coming into your barn with like, it's like if we were to go into, I don't know, I'm fucking trying to think like the Kraken, right? Go down to Seattle. Like, it's not a scheduled loss, but it's not a scheduled win either. That's how the Canucks were for so long. And even last season, right? Like, nobody really thought they were real. They doubted them. Now, I mean, they're being taken seriously all over the league. So you're getting, for the most part, you're getting the best parts of most, if not all, the teams that come through your barn, right? Carolina last night, I mean, they're a great team, perennial regular season team. Haven't won a game in the conference final with all the fucking firepower that they got. But you still can't take them lightly, right? But with that being said, it's how you shift your mindset, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the way how like you have to really control the mindset over everything. Like,
Totally.
I'm still fascinated at the idea of how like implemental it is amongst all these fucking things, like when it comes to a fucking athlete. Like, even when it comes to like discussing, say, the PD situation, which is another thing. Great to see you got a goal. But the difficulties and battles of what mindset brings, and then learning to have that adapted into a new way to like push this team forward through the adversity.
Oh,
Right.
100%, right? And that's exactly what Talk and the coaching staff is trying to help them navigate. But at the end of the day, when it comes to something that's between the ears, really, you're the only one that can take yourself out of it, right?
True. That is true. You make a very
So it
valid
is on the
point.
players, right? It's on the leadership, and it's on the players. We know that Miller's playing through something, clearly.
Mm-hmm.
I missed that. You're gonna have to repeat yourself.
God, I told you to go fuck your opinion, but you went on with your opinion. But I was going to a good place. You're redeeming yourself. Get fucked. But
well, you know what? You fucking sewered me regardless. You just have this cheesing on the camera here. This is the problem with us doing these things live, and I got to look at your fucking ugly mug.
Oh man, that's too funny. Actually, though, not gonna lie.
Nah, you fucker. But anyway, where was I going before? I lost my train of thought here.
With Miller,
yeah. So we know Miller's playing through something, but he's still finding a way to produce, right? And he is the emotional heartbeat of the team, but he can't be the only one doing it. Keeping in mind, we got a lot of new additions to the lineup as well, too. Right? There's a lot of new guys, right? Like Jake DeBrusk is still finding his game. I do like that he's playing with Miller and Besser. I think eventually maybe he will go down and play with Petey, assuming that both of them can really figure it out. But I'm seeing improvements with even Daniel Sprong, right? Like he had a that was a very high IQ play that he made to get Bains his first bingo in the NHL, right? It was a pass off the pad essentially, right? We're seeing his speed. We're seeing how he can exploit a lot of teams when they're flat footed. So I don't know, man. They got to be able to play a full 60. I think that's their biggest problem is they're not playing a full 60.
I completely agree with you. And you know what? I think this is something where I believe old habits are kind of dying a bit hard. Because doesn't everything that you just said right now, I don't know about you, but it fucking feels very similar to the themes that we were talking about under Boudreaux, under Green.
That's true. Under the sophomore
Right?
season of Boudreaux and Green, that's
Like
right.
literally how I don't know, hearing the fact that we don't play a full 60 minutes is something that I've been hearing for quite some time since paying attention and like refollowing the team for like Besser's rookie season. And yeah, I'm starting to think maybe there could be some old habits dying hard that they really got to learn how to kind of dig in. As if funny, dig in right now.
David
I can't hear that shit the
man.
same now, but when you gotta actually be like, all right, like fucking pull it together internally and like dig in. Like, I definitely think you're correct on that. Like, it's got to be more than just say Millers or Hughes right now, who I think are the two doing that on mental sense.
Oh yeah, and on a 99 basis too.
Yes. So yeah, no, of course we're needing a little bit more. Dude, how are you feeling about Jake DeBrusk overall? I know he's snake bitten and he's still at least getting a couple apples, but what are your thoughts feeling around him at the moment?
I mean, with Jake DeBrusk, when you consider how his play was in Boston, it shouldn't really surprise anybody. I mean, they didn't sign him for $8 million over 7. I know it was a lot of term, but they signed him for 5.5. I mean, he pots in 20 to 25 goals. I'm happy, honestly.
For sure.
Right? Like that sort of stuff. So yeah, maybe he's a little snake bitten. He's played his whole career in Boston. He's getting used to playing, and first of all, in Canada. Second of all, for a completely new coaching staff and players, guys that he's never played with before, maybe Heinen and Forbert. But I mean, I don't think he was really playing with Heinen all that much. But regardless, it's just going to take him some time. I'm personally willing to be patient with DeBrusk because I know he might be streaky, but when he turns it the fuck on, and he is also known to be a very good playoff performer too. So let's not forget that as well. That is also a big plus. So I'm not willing to write off Jake DeBrusk quite yet. I think he is still playing some good hockey, but he's just gotta get one in. Right? He's got a bingo, right? Like we saw Petey. That was a great shot. That was like old school Petey. We'll get into the Carolina game a little bit later as well too. But I personally, like I said, I'm not willing to write him off quite yet. How do you feel about him?
Of course, my approach and question with that didn't want to write him off at all either. Like, you're right. I like the perspective of he's not an 8 million type player that we signed. He's a 5 mil type player. And he was known for being streaky in Boston, second half kind of performer. But what I'm really liking about his game so far, I like his two-way ability. He's really good at back checking. He's really good at reading the plays, using his body and physicality to try to create space when he's like in the board battles or anywhere near a net front. I guess I think I'm just still a little bummed out and disappointed because maybe it's just the fan base's own doing and the media's own doing at this. But like preseason, having everything hyped to be like, oh, DeBrusk and Petey could be sick. Their preseason, they look like they had good chemistry, and then like it's not that, which is a little bit of a bummer, I would say. And I feel like DeBrusk should, on paper, have mended a lot better with the style of how Petey's playing. But also, that's not completely up to DeBrusque's fault at all either, because there is two sides to that, where Petey
Without a
needs
doubt.
to wake up. But
Well,
oh,
yeah, and that's the thing too, and especially when we're talking about PD and his state of mind. I mean, I'm seeing him try different things. Like he's trying to be his old creative self. He's not shelling
mhm.
like he was last year, and he would just fall like Bambi. Super
Yeah,
frustrating. But I maybe I'm just short. I don't know. Maybe I'm lengthening his leash. Maybe I'm lowering the bar. That's not something that I want to do with PD. But I agree with you. It's not completely on DeBrusque. I think DeBrusque, you can give him a bit of grace. You got to get. He can get back on his horse. Once everything clicks, everything's gonna click, right?
yeah,
I'm curious what your thoughts. I know we mentioned him last week, but Eric Brandstrom is becoming a beloved by the fans over here. Hey,
dude, that is actually one of the most sleeper fleece pickup trade that I think surprised every single person in that trade.
everybody. Like
Everybody.
literally looked, yeah, it just looked like a Tucker Poolman dump. And okay, yeah, we'll take this defenseman over. Shell him in the AHL. He fucking lights it up in Abbotsford. Like, just looked like he could do whatever the hell he wanted on the ice.
Yeah,
Comes up to Vancouver, and I mean, he's great at clearing the zone. He can
dude,
clear the zone. He can move the puck. Like, that's exactly what the Canucks needed.
100%. That's the thing that I'm very interested in seeing where our blue line is going to go this year, because clearly that's the project that we're like mending compared to last year.
Yes,
But
exactly.
they've mentioned since last year that they wanted some puck moving ability defense like in the bottom four. And Brandstrom is exactly that. And so far it's paying off. Now it is still the first half of the regular season. My concern when it comes to Brandstrom's longevity, depending on how it goes, is that will they want to go with what they were known for last year in the playoffs and second half of the season, which is outside of Hughes and Hronik, tall, big, physical defenseman, right?
Exactly.
What do
So
you
it's going to
think?
be it's going to be a tough decision, I think, for the coaching staff and the management staff. Right? They
Mm-hmm.
have 4 trees to put back there already.
For sure.
Right? We knew Vinny Desharnais was going to be a project. Right?
And
We
a
knew he was
project
going to
he
be a
is,
project. Right? We knew that from the beginning. Right? So seeing him struggle, I expected that. That's fine.
mm-hmm.
But that was a big luxury that the Canucks had last year, was they boxed out that middle. Right? I
Yeah.
mean, dude, they took Edmonton to 7 games with a third string goalie, and they didn't even have Besser in game 7. Still only lost by 1. Right? I think a lot of that, and a lot of maybe where they're struggling right now, is the fact that they don't control the defensive zone. Right? They just boxed you out last year defensively. Right?
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I honestly, unfortunately, I'm going to take the pussy way out here. I don't have an answer for you. I have no idea. I'd like to say that Brandstrom is going to maintain his game, but one thing that he was known for in Ottawa was the fact that he was a little smaller and he might have gotten pushed off.
Yeah.
Maybe not rough and tumbled, but from what I've seen in this first few games, he's boxed out a few guys much bigger than him. So
Mm-hmm.
he has the ability to do it, but I agree with you. Like, can he do it long term? The longevity of his play, that's going to be a big one, and especially with how they're prioritizing that, because you really think about it, man. The playoffs they're not that close. They're pretty far away. We're in the beginning of the fucking season here, right?
Straight up, dude. Only week 4, but you know what? Get fucked. I got to think about it.
Fucking right back at you. I know we were being too nice to each other over here, so yeah, I agree with you.
Got to sprinkle the little spice within our shit. No, but fucking you're spitting facts, bro. You're spitting facts, and for now, to appreciate the present moment that Brandstrom is bringing to that blue line, he's fitting well with Darnay. He's like you've commented, he's also boxing out, and I love the way he skates and moves the pucks. It's almost like Quinn Hughes light. Um, and he handles the puck really well overall.
Yeah, he is great at he is really really good at the puck handling part of the game. I'd like to see a little bit more. And you know what? Actually, one thing too is he's very fast. Like, he's got some wheels on him, and
Yeah.
he's not afraid to skate up in that neutral zone either, too. Right? Having it with somebody a little bit more responsible defensively might be the better call, but I'm sure they can figure that out.
Yeah, for sure, man. They could definitely figure it out. They'll have to. The big thing I think what's going to be happening here is clearly the most notable strength that we have is our forward depth, right?
Yes.
And through our forward depth, there's always possibility that we could be able to, use that closer to trade deadline to help bolster our blue line.
Yes. I think that's where they're going to need to plug some of those holes, right? Clearly, they last year, and I mean, another guy that's going very unsung to the fact that we haven't even brought him up yet is Teddy Bluger. Teddy Bluger is having a fantastic start to the year. He technically had more shifts than Petey last night.
Teddy Bluger? What?
Teddy Bluger. He didn't have more time on ice, but he had more total shifts, apparently.
Interesting.
Right? So he's really, really gaining the trust of Rick Tocchet. He even mentioned, I think it was, who was it? Might have been to Frank Saravalli, that, he saw himself as like, maybe a 20-goal, 50-point player. If he can be that on the third line, I don't think the Canucks really need to bolster their forward group, right? If they can depend on Teddy Bluger instead of having last year to go through Lindholm.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's going to be interesting.
Oh, dude, 100%, man. Teddy Bluger's career with us is very interesting. And what else is interesting as we can get into the first ad of our day? The quest for the Stanley Cup starts now. The puck's dropping on the 2024-25 season. Get in on all the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, who brings us this podcast here, because it's super easy for first timers to get even started on this. You can easily just bet something simple, like which team you want to win. It's called the money line. You put it there, place your first bet. You have definitely different kinds of odds that exist out there, minus 100 right now. And in the end, if you're new to DraftKings, listen up, because new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Blue Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility. Varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gambling resources, see dkng.co/ice. Copyright NHL 24. All rights reserved. Boom.
Alrighty then.
Alrighty then. As we did it. So I think we've spoken good enough things right now about the positives that we've been seeing out of the Pittsburgh game, just in general with what we're seeing out of the team on so far. Let's get into the debate topic, because
yes,
as you've seen today, Dakota Joshua is practicing in a non-contact jersey. You can just tell he's about a week or two away.
Yeah, he's ripe.
So, totally. Fuck. Like dirty mind from that fucking board game. Anyway, it's fucking the who will be coming out of the lineup and who will Joshua take? Like, that's going to be a tough one for me.
It's going to be tough, and I think the toughest thing about it is the only person that makes sense, doesn't make sense on paper, but makes sense with regards to cap and waiver, is Bains.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing. It definitely will have to snub that story and, give him like he's the one that's easily able to go back down to Abbotsford, no issue. Because if we give up Amon, is who I would ideally kind of prefer.
Yeah, so I agree with you.
But we have to expose him to waivers, and that's the last thing we want to do, because he's still a quality 13th forward.
He is. I mean, I don't know personally, man. I'm not the biggest Niels Amon fan. I'll be the first one to say that. I've been not a. he kind of got me a little bit last year, but I don't know, man. I think if I would prefer to see Bains develop with the team. I think that's what he needs right now. I'm not saying he's going to be a top line player, but you imagine by playoff time he can figure it out, and he's an excellent 13th forward, right?
For sure. Ironic that his jersey number is 13 too, right?
Well, there you go, right? it all
No,
works
100%.
out.
I feel like that shit is written in the stars, and one way or another, it's gonna play out that way. But yeah, I mean, Neil Zaman for me, I think the biggest strength that he's mainly had was just his penalty kill, and faceoffs. And even then, like our depth has increased with like amongst the likes of Bluger, Suter,
Sherwood, Heinen.
Sherwood, Joshua, Heinen, etc. So I definitely see him as the one with the least on the lowest of that list. But you're right, for the business side of things, they're definitely gonna have to send down Bains. He's the one they're able to do that with full protection on the asset.
Exactly, right? And they don't expose anything, they don't lose anything. And I mean, the good news is we get Joshua back in the lineup, which I'm very excited for.
Yes, and I would love to see how that happens. Yeah, ideally, I guess there really was no debate because I mean, who else could take Baines' spot, or is there anybody else on the forward line that has that ability where we can send them down without exposing them to waivers? I quickly look that up.
I don't think so.
Because I agree, and I would like to see oh man, yeah, I want to see Baines' development in this season. I think he's definitely at that stage where he's worthy of it.
100%.
But yeah, you're right. Like
it's the only thing that, like I said, when it comes to waivers and stuff, it's the only thing that makes sense. And it sucks. It sucks to say because I've been happy with his game, Baines.
Unless maybe they take like Sprong out of the lineup.
Yeah, but Sprong, man, like you're losing quite a bit of offense there. Like I know right now he's obviously not putting up the numbers, but when he's on his game, dude, like that guy's speedy. He has a nose for the net. And even him getting Baines that goal, that was a very high IQ play, like I mentioned before. So I don't know if I'm willing to keep Sprong out of the lineup if he can figure it the fuck out, obviously. But yeah, I don't know. Where can you see Joshua insert himself into the lineup though once he does get in?
Ideally, the thing is that I don't want to break up that third line of
Sherwood, Bluger, and
Heinen.
And Heinen, yes, thank you.
Yeah, like they're doing some spectacular things, but I could definitely see Joshua, let's say, take Sherwood's place in that because they both bring the same type of energy and physicality to their game. And then give Sherwood the ability to add that line on the fourth line, or even somehow potentially, given with the way how Tocchet feels with Hoaglander's game, give him top six. But I think Dakota Joshua will get the top 6 minutes more than Sherwood, but he probably wouldn't mind switching, like, in situational terms.
Yeah,
change the lineup
situation. Yeah, totally. I mean, it depends on matchup and home away, whatever it is. That's personally what I was thinking more so is we would have Garland and Joshua back together because their chemistry is just incredible.
For sure.
And I mean, we really saw the Canucks, when Joshua got hurt, he had that Gordie Howe hat trick, which was fucking awesome. I think it was in Detroit. Or was it Chicago? I can't remember. But yeah, he had a Gordie Howe trick and hurt himself and missed like a little while.
It was Detroit.
It was Detroit, okay, right? So I was right then. And you did see the energy kind of get sucked out of the team a little bit, right? So Garland and Joshua, hopefully they can find that chemistry again, and I'm sure that they will. But I think that is more on like the PD side of things, if that makes sense. I think that would really invigorate PD.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, do you see a lineup of Joshua, Petey, and Garland being tested?
At least in the short term. I mean, we're talking when he gets into the lineup, right? I mean, I'm probably not right away. Like we might see Joshua maybe on the fourth line to begin, at least for the first game in a bit, just to get his legs back, right? But I personally, I don't hate it. I don't hate that idea at all. How do you feel about it?
I would feel very excited to see what that lineup would look like. I wonder if that would give drive to Petey in a new sense because Joshua not only is hype in the on the ice, but you can tell he has that character and swagger off the ice too that just who knows, right?
Totally.
I feel like I said, Joshua and Garland have this like Bash Brothers type vibe to them when they play on the
They
same line
totally do.
together, and I fucking love it. And that could potentially be something that could wake up Petey's spirit a bit, or at the very least get Joshua in fucking good form and shape. And then if they have to situationally test out or try other lines, then he would. Like he'll interchange Joshua.
Exactly, right. And it would be kind of like the West Coast Express light, if you think about it, right? You got Joshua, who's a big power forward like Bertuzzi. You
Yeah.
got Petey, who's like Naslin, like the shifty little Swede. And then you
Yeah,
got
with the
Morrison and
shot.
Garland. Yeah, and the shot too, exactly, right? So I think that'd be kind of cool to reminisce on that if that line does pop off. Obviously, I'm not doing a comparison whatsoever. I'm just saying that there's a few similarities, you know.
For sure. And you can't deny that formula works because it's worked before in the past.
Exactly. Right. Mind
Um,
you, different era of hockey, totally.
for
But
sure.
you know, when I think that even Bluger, Petey, and Garland last year, I mean, nobody would have picked that at the beginning of the year. I don't think we would have picked Bluger, Sherwood, and Heinen at the beginning of the year. That's for sure.
For sure.
Common denominator seems to be Bluger, though.
Dude, I know. I'm honestly stunned how underrated Bluger is. Um, and he really is bringing a good edge to the team. That isn't even like a big, like, in your face type edge, but like this man is just a hound on the ice.
He really is, and he
Yeah.
makes like he's responsible defensively too. That's what I love
Yeah,
about his game. He's very responsible defensively, and he believes in himself, man. That's like I feel like 80% of the battle.
for sure. Believing
Right?
that
He
you
came
can
in with some
go
high
there and
praise
win
for
the
himself.
battle.
Exactly, right? And that's the level that we need Petey to get to. But with that being said, what do you say we do our final ad read?
Yes, let's do it.
All right. So I am going to talk about our friends over at Game Time. Guys, hockey season is underway. I don't know why I had trouble finding that word, but hockey season is underway. And I personally am so excited to get to a game to see Hronik just absolutely dummy someone. And obviously, that nice chill of the ice and that perfect shot of the slap shot coming off of the stick. Nothing better. But when that does happen, I highly recommend our friends over at Game Time because they have a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting your tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on your seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Great thing about Game Time, guys, is that they don't just have tickets for sports. They got Usher tickets. If you go, I'll see you there. They got WWE coming into town. Zach Bryan, Tyler the Creator. We also got the MLS Cup for the Whitecaps, and I saved the best for last. The Oilers are coming to town on November 9th. So if you want to get into that game, you're looking at $98 as a base, which ends up coming up and is a great deal on the little fire emoji that I see here. So, guys, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code THPN for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time.
Hell yeah, baby. Get fucked.
Right back at you.
No, that was awesome. So let's talk about the Carolina game, I guess. Either Carolina game or fucking address more PD stuff. Where do you want to go?
You know what? Let's get into the Carolina game because that kind of ties into the PD stuff.
It really does. Let's go.
It really does. So, same theme that we saw with the Canucks. did not get out to a very good start.
Nope.
Right? That was, I mean, don't get me wrong, it was a great slap shot. Unfortunately, that was probably Lankinen's first stinker. Feel like he could have got that shot, but you can't
For
blame
sure.
the guy because he really kept him in this game. And quite frankly, I strongly believe he's the reason why they even got a point in the first place.
Without a doubt, Lankinen was the backbone and the hero for our night to the best of the ability. Like the boys
Exactly.
in front of them could not get it done.
Well, you can't expect to win when you have 4 shots on goal in a period, right? That was the
Yeah,
first
that was
period.
oof.
You,
That
you
was
can't
tough.
expect to win the game when that's how you start, or you can't expect to win the period, I should say, when that's how you start. Now, credit to them. Not long after the goal, JT Miller, was a great play, came in full speed, wrapped around the net, and he found Besser, which he seems to do seamlessly,
Yeah.
right? So it's nice to see that duo is still working. But I just really didn't like the inconsistency and the intensity for these guys because they had a really good 10 minutes in the third period where they clawed back, like you said, when they were under adversity.
Mhm.
But I did not like that they allowed Carolina to just kind of take control.
Yeah, you know what? They really I feel like it was one of those moments where they kind of got a little bit punched in their mouth like to start the fight and it like stings. Carolina had a lot more speed and a lot more structure than the Canucks last night from the get-go, and they were able to maintain that pace for I will obviously not the entire 60-minute, but more than us throughout the game. And
Enough to get up to a 3-1 lead.
yeah, enough that if it wasn't for Lankinen, which is why he's our hero, that game would have been over by second period. It probably would
Easily.
have been like a 5-6-1 type game.
100%, right?
Yeah.
And it's too bad Sprong too fast for his own good. I think if that 2-1 goal goes in for Bains and it's a good goal, and it was offside, like there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, you can't argue it.
Yeah, you can't argue it at all. I think that would have really changed the momentum for the boys. But still, I mean, if you want to be a contending team, like you have no business, getting deflated after that.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's the champion mindset of being like, okay, you fucking took a loss. And that's the one Rick Tockett's words after the game. This is what I really admire about his coaching style is that he isn't afraid to blatantly point out the things that he doesn't like. He's composed enough to know when to pull back on going
Yeah, we
too
really saw
far
that.
with the criticism, right? Like, he had the opportunity to all he said was he's like, I didn't like Hoggy tonight. And when he was switching to Petey, he immediately caught himself being like, you know what, I'm not gonna pick on that line. Like because he knows that they know.
Restraint there.
Huh?
He showed restraint there.
Yeah, so he's not afraid to call it like it is, but he shows restraint and composure. Yet he has a heart towards it all, where he's like, you know what? It's just it's taking a look at like learning your lessons from this. Take these games, learn your lesson, move the fuck on, go to the next game. Don't do
Exactly.
that. Like don't fall for the traps.
Totally. And I mean, you know what? Bottom line is they did win 4 games in a row
Hmm.
before this, obviously. Do they
Yeah,
deserve to win all of them? I thought they played very well for most of those games, at least, right? They looked like they were back on track, and you can't let one loss get you in the dumps. But it's unfortunately a similar way of losing. That's why I think it really angered the Canucks fan base. And you can say a lot. And one thing I do want to point out, at least one good thing about it, is the fact that they did battle back again from a 2-goal deficit.
hmm
So there's no quit in this team, and they're still they fight back and they fight until the final whistle
yeah. I
when they're
gotta
down.
say, 100%. I gotta say, resilience is one of their superpowers. This team has the drive to come back and clearly strike quick and fast at any point, as we saw in the Pittsburgh game. And I mean, we saw flashes of it in the Carolina game. Now, the biggest thing, though, that I really am seeing, though we have a 4-game win streak, yes, take the lessons learned from the loss. But something that I'm starting to see now that was very noticeable in Carolina's game is our power play,
Oh
and
man.
OT has honestly just it's been a sore for eyes, man. It's been kind of dog shit. Like fuck,
Yeah,
I hate to say it like
that
that,
dog
man.
shit is an insult to dog shit, man.
Oh
Like
man, it's
that's
tough.
it is tough to watch. Like I know in our group chat, someone was saying they should just decline the penalties like they do in football and say fuck, stick to 5-on-5.
Yeah, 100%. Like literally, I'd rather be 5v5.
Yeah, because they did. I mean, they did great 5v5, and you know, in the beginning of last year when they got off to that crazy hot start, their power play was rolling. Right, it was rolling. So I mean, they like Talkett even said there's going to be changes coming to the power play, and that's another thing that I love about him. He's not delusional when it comes to his team. He's very reasonable.
Mhm.
So I'm hoping they change that. What kind of changes do you think they'll make?
I was just gonna ask you that, but
Well,
all
fuck
right,
you. I
cool.
asked you
Well,
first.
fuck yeah, no, fuck you too. Good job. I'm Speedy Gonzalez, senor. But
Puto.
fuck off. I You know what? I'm wondering. I don't want Talkett to shatter Petey's confidence, but I'm wondering if like it gets to a point where if Petey's not using the one main power play asset that he's had for a majority of his career, which is his one timer, what is he really doing? Because lately I've been seeing it. The puck, I'm sorry, but the play is dying pretty often on his stick in the power play.
Yeah,
And Millers and Hughes can't be the only one carrying the center left side because then penalty kills just know to focus on that. And
exactly.
I don't know, like I'm starting to see like, his skating speed has gone down. He's clearly not wanting to shoot the puck. And even when he does, it feels like it's very difficult for him to like have any good force behind it, excluding the goal, of course. But I'm talking about power play PD specifically.
Dude, power play Petey used to be the one that he was the quarterback back there for the most part, right? Him and
Yeah.
Hughes used to run the show. So I don't know, man. It's concerning. Like we've said it from the beginning of the season. Like PD is the literally the deciding factor between this team and being a contender.
Yeah, straight up.
That fixes the power play, in my opinion, right?
That and some more movement. They need to
Yes.
fucking move more. And
Oh,
like
they need to shoot more too, man. Because
yeah,
like
just move and
the amount
shoot.
of fucking times that they keep the possession for like a minute and a half, and then they shoot into somebody's shin pads, and then it just go. I'm like, oh, dude, what the fuck was the point of that minute and a half? You may as well try and fire like 3 of these off.
I really wish, and I feel like they have the personnel to make this happen, which is why this fan base is probably feeling so frustrated. I know I am, because we have on paper a really solid lineup for our power play. Like our
We
top
do.
dogs of fucking Miller, Besser, Petey, Hughes, and fucking, I mean, right now, Garland. It could be interchanged with DeBrusque, whoever's the one that's popping off. That alone is really solid. And they need to take a page from Edmonton's book where they just need to keep moving and do quick passes and then just take a shot on net. Just
Exactly.
they got to be a little bit more like that.
Well, that was like one of their best attributes is like, why did you develop Besser to be net front if you're not going to fucking give him the opportunity and shoot on net?
Yeah.
Right? That's the frustrating part. And I mean, don't get me wrong, Besser's wall game is incredible. Right? Probably one of the best, if not the best on the team. He has more function to being net front. He has a shot. He has other things that he can use. But we need to utilize him more. Get the pucks to the front of the fucking net. He knows where to be. He has a nose for the net. Use him. Like you said, move. Like they can't be wasting this. And then their first unit power play, and that's the downside of having Garland on PP1 is that they don't have that 1-2 punch with PP2.
Yep.
Right? So PP1 has to figure it out, and they either need to make personnel changes, but I don't think personnel changes is what they need. I think they need just a new, I don't know, maybe a new structure. Who knows? But not a great idea to fucking do this beginning of the season. Maybe this should have been done in the training camp, but either way, something's got to change.
For sure. Like it's noticeably gotten progressively worse over the years, and like even right now within the season, it's just you can just tell they're out of funk when they should be on the advantage, when a power play should give you the upper hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Like what the fuck? But and then yeah, OT lately I've noticed with our OTs, at least for this season, we're not tracking that well defensively on the 3-on-3.
No,
Right?
we're
You
not.
know, we're getting a
Sebastian
little
Aho
wild.
was wide open on that goal.
Dude, we got wide open. Like literally, clearly they were supposed to play like a man to man, and it did not work in their favor.
No, it really didn't. Right. And I mean, hey, Lankinen did his job, man. He made the first stop.
Yeah, but no one was there to like the way how Rick Tocchet puts it is like protect the guts of the ice. No one's
Exactly.
protecting that gut there. Just fully exposed. Boom.
Exactly. Right. And they also had personnel changes. Right. So the guys that are in the back there, not like last year where they had Zadorov and Ian Cole back there, as much as Ian Cole's in the end of his tenure in Vancouver wasn't the best.
Yeah, we know.
He was still responsible defensively, and he was great at protecting the guts of the ice, right? Talk at hockey. So I don't know. Either they have a very, very high praise for Adam Foote to figure this out during the season, as well as Rick Tocchet, or they're gonna have to make some personnel changes.
Yeah, fucking one or the other. Something's got to get sorted out, and something's at least got to get sorted out soon, or look like it's on the right fucking track. Please, I don't know what to like. That part is, I'd say, the most shocking of the development through this core, in my opinion.
Couldn't agree with you more, brother. But in looking at time, what do you say this is a good time to wrap things up?
I think it's a great time to wrap up here. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to episode 64 of the Blazing Pucks, catching up with your two BC buds on the Vancouver Canucks, our beloved team. Carm, please let the people know, the listeners know, what they can do if they enjoyed today's episode.
If you enjoyed today's episode, you can hit the subscribe button. Make sure the episodes are downloaded because that's how we know that you love us. And also reach out to us on Twitter, Instagram, and now TikTok. Victor, what can they do if they really, really like the podcast?
If you really, really like the podcast on Spotify, hit us up with a 5-star rating. That would be much appreciated. As Carr mentioned, for our YouTube channel, please subscribe, like, and comment below what you enjoyed the most about the episode, or any type of comments. You can even tell us to go fuck ourselves. We don't care. But we'll tell you right back. But yes, please 5 stars and 5-star on Apple where you're listening. And tune in next week. Catch us every Thursday on Spotify and join the live stream here every Tuesday on YouTube. And Carb, in Blazing Pucks fashion,
Much love.
and go fuck yourself.